Learning to Live Out Loud. Written and read by Piper Laurie. When I was 14, a mustachioed, middle-aged agent took me to meet Howard Hughes. Mother didn't come along. She believed there would never be hanky-panky if I were alone with a truly successful man. She said, he wouldn't be stupid enough to get into trouble. She also thought the encounter would be good practice for my speaking skills. I rarely spoke, and never with strangers. A few days before, the agent had asked my mother for permission to take me to a coffee shop for lunch, and then repeatedly asked me if I had a boyfriend. All I could muster in response was a sound that I hoped would be taken for a giggle. Then 3 days later, the agent and I were driving slowly through dark studio streets. I tried hard to control my panic. Nothing is as mysterious as a deserted studio at night. We passed many sound stages until we reached the very back of the lot and parked in front of a small frame bungalow. The agent helped me out of the car and escorted me up 2 steps directly into a tiny, dim-lit office. Hughes was sprawled back in his chair, his feet in sneakers resting on the desk with ankles crossed. He was long and thin, and to my art student's eye, his head seemed a bit too small for his body. They told me to sit in the chair close to the desk. I sat. The mustachioed man who had delivered me quickly disappeared, saying, "This is Rosetta. She's not quite 15, and doesn't she have beautiful red hair?" Hughes barely looked at me, but he would sneak a peek from time to time. Neither of us spoke. The room remained so very quiet, and after a while Hughes mumbled something to me that I couldn't comprehend. I heard the words, but couldn't make sense of them, and I waited for an explanation that never came. The 2 of us just sat there quietly in the dim light, waiting. For what? I had no idea, but I was grateful he didn't ask any questions. A long time passed, perhaps a half hour, when the agent finally reappeared, looking surprised and suggesting it was time to go. As I rose from my chair, Hughes stood up and moved over to me, mumbling something, and he looked me in the eye for a few warm and dazzling seconds. The look seemed to say, "It's all right, dear. Don't worry." We shook hands, and I walked out the door feeling he was a kind man. Years later, I would understand that this was at the beginning of Hughes's period of extreme isolation and illness, and that many young girls were being brought to him for his enjoyment. Perhaps my silence that day, my own isolation, was a reflected image he preferred to avoid. In my naivete, I fantasized all the way home about how wonderful it would have been to speak out whenever I pleased, as others did. Not for a moment did I sense the sordidness of the aborted meeting or recognize we were 2 socially crippled travelers going in opposite directions. I simply sat there in the car wondering how disappointed my mother would be that my speaking practice had failed that day.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.